Hello and welcome to another weekly update. Lots of interesting and cool stuff to talk about this week. So diving right in. So blog post I put out earlier in the week is around it's around the Teams bot and the calling API stuff. And out of the box with the calling API, you can play pre-recorded messages to users. So if you've got pre-recordings of WAV files or whatever. Or it doesn't have to be messages, it can be sounds, it can be whatever it is, right? But you can play that using the calls and meeting API, which is great. However, sometimes what you want to do is dynamically send the user a message, be that the some information that you've just looked up in a database somewhere, or something else like that, where you can't pre-record that message, right? You want to just generate it dynamically on the fly, programmatically send it out, and there's no ability to do that currently in the calls and meetings API. It is interestingly something you could do in UCMA because UCMA utilise some of the speech synthesis stuff and the not the TAPI API, there was some other kind of speech API thing that it used as well. Anyway, we're in a different place now and we have more ability to do other things, which is kind of interesting. And one of the things we can do that we couldn't do a couple of years ago is use the Bing Speech API. Now the Bing Speech API is part of Microsoft Cognitive Services, and it's an API that you can use. You can send it text and it will give you back audio. Like, it will turn that text into speech, give you back the audio file. What's interesting about that is that it doesn't take very long to do it either. So you can actually do that dynamically when you want to send something back, get the audio back, and then use that audio that you've just got back, give it to the calls and meetings API for it to play. So that gives you a kind of a little bit of a workflow to make dynamic text, dynamically generated text to speech. So I've got a blog post that goes through exactly how you do all that, exactly what to do, the calls you need to make, tying it all together. With a kind of little demo as well, so it's kind of cool. It's a cool way of doing it. It might be useful. I found it useful, certainly. It's kind of very powerful, being able to just kind of take text and turn it into something that play it back to the user instantly. So yeah, I'm pretty cool with that. So go and have a look at that if that's interesting. So that talked about that. Other things that are happening this week. Well, something I noticed happening on the Microsoft 365 roadmap, the Graph API, which, if you remember, Graph is the kind of big overall platform now for developers to interact with the Microsoft 365 stack across all these different workloads and places, people and files and meetings and calendars and all these other things. And coming soon is some extra API endpoints for dealing with shifts. Now, shifts for frontline workers, first-line workers. New capabilities into Teams recently announced at Ignite last year. Some kind of replacing of Staff Hub as well, integrating it more into Teams. And the new API that's going to support all number of capabilities to do things like create, read and update shifts and schedules and the assignment of people into shifts and things like that. So that should come as welcome news for anyone who uses shifts and wants to kind of better integrate it either with existing applications, so you want to kind of bring information from shifts into those applications, or maybe the other way around, you've got kind of workflows where you want to do things like swap shifts or schedule shifts or something based on some other information. There's now API endpoints to enable you to do that, so that's exciting. And if it's going into Graph, that's good as well, because it's a single authentication endpoint as well. It's not like you've got to deal with some other authentication setup just for shifts. So that's marked as coming soon on the 365 roadmap, so there's no no real kind of firm dates on when that's going to come. I did go and have a look. It's not in the API reference for the beta API for Graph yet. That's probably where you'd expect it to go first. It will go into beta first and then into the 1.0 namespace for Graph. But yeah, so we'll look out for that. That should be interesting. Other things for you to look at over the weekend. So there's a good video from Chase Marino about using Teams and how to use Teams to kind of deliver superpowers to your people. And it's part 2 in a series. So what he's doing there, he's kind of looking at how different people are using Teams and using Teams as a platform, a developer platform, to kind of add these extra services on and really enable users to kind of do more, like be more productive, bringing the data to where they are, enabling them to make decisions faster and all those things. So it's a great video. I highly recommend you go and watch it. It's very well put together as well, and it's a very genuine video as well. It's not sort of like a really kind of super polished marketing thing. It's just kind of giving you the facts, and yeah, it's good. I think you should go and watch it. Yeah, and hopefully there'll be more of these as well. If this is a part 2, hopefully there's going to be a whole series of showing how Teams can kind of, Teams plus platforms plus different solutions and different people all kind of like working on Teams and using Teams as that base, that kind of core where all users are and where people are collaborating and where information is flowing into. It totally makes sense for it to be that platform to build these additional services on. And finally, something else to kind of, if you want to look at over the weekend, we're starting to see some information dribbling out around the kind of new changes to Edge, specifically around it moving over to Chromium. So if you remember a couple of months ago, I suppose, a big announcement that Edge is going to start using the Chromium rendering engine rather than the Microsoft-based Trident as was a rendering engine. So apparently there's some screenshots that have leaked out and made their way to Mary Jo Foley of zdnet.com, and she has those screenshots and a little bit more information as well about that coming Edge browser and those changes. So if you do anything in that kind of web space, if you need to support Edge, if you have been waiting for capabilities to come to Edge, so for instance WebRTC is a biggie, then it'll be interesting to keep track of that as it evolves. So I am certainly looking for those kind of first builds of Edge to come out so we can kick the tires on it and see how it compares, see what a difference a change in that rendering engine makes to how how things work. It'll be just kind of interesting as well to see how the rest of the web, a lot of these like user agent strings and detection things, it'd be interesting to see how they deal with it as well. So yeah, absolutely, it's going to be an interesting one to watch, I think. All right, that's everything I think I want to talk about this week. So next week's going to be exciting. So next week I'm going to be spending some time taking part in the Teamwork Solutions Accelerator workshop. So it's taking place at Microsoft's offices in Reading in London kind of next week, and it's a number of series, right? They're taking place all around the world, and the focus is on Teams as a platform to development. So there's going to be people from Microsoft engineering there, there's going to be local technical resources from this country, from Microsoft as well, and there's some MVPs as well, myself included. What we're going to be doing is delivering kind of high quality training and lab sessions all around using Teams as a platform for development, which is a subject I'm really passionate about and I'm really excited to kind of talk about as well. This is only going to become more and more important as Teams is becoming that operating system, that OS where we get work done, OS for work, and we're seeing users spend more time there, we're seeing more engagement there, and as a developer it's like totally natural to want to build those solutions in the places where users are, right? And what helps with that is that Teams is, Teams has a big range of extensibility points to enable that to happen, to enable me to write solutions on Teams and to use Teams as that platform. So I'm excited to be able to kind of talk about it next week as well and get more people on that bus. And yeah, let's build on Teams as that platform for development. So that should be really good fun. And then the week after that, it's MVP Summit. So I'll do next week's recording, I'll do here probably, but then the week after that will probably be in Seattle. So exciting times ahead. Have a great weekend, and I will talk to you again next time.